getting back to the human component side of this, which is, really extremely good thing to discuss, is, wage growth and inflation is crushing the person that's outside of the system, that's not in the hard asset, right? At least, right? I'm talking about the renter. I'm talking about, the people that we have 10,000 apartments. We have 10,000 renters. The person that's outside of the system, outside of the hard asset is the one getting crushed. I think, I Danielle and I do. Obviously, we get a lot of people on a podcast, and we had a very interesting discussion with somebody who was dealing with the Canadian housing market.
Mhm.
And so we'll just jump north real quick. But at the end of the day, I'll just, the home prices in Canada are twice as much as the U.S. I mean, they're actually almost 800,000. So that's across the country. I mean, you go into Toronto, Vancouver, some of the core cities that, they're well over 1 million. And they have the exact same issue where they're not necessarily making a lot more than us. But they have a lock-in effect on a lot of the folks there. Obviously, because they're living in these homes for a long time. They are trading for multiple reasons. But I think, what I just seeing what happened in 2008, I just don't see a correction. I think in order for there to be a distress, there's different levels of distress. There's bank distress, there's equity distress, which is, let's call it the homeowner. I don't see the Main Street distress as a result of the equity. Personally, and anybody who passes it, as you mentioned, they get that step up in basis, right? So it resets, so they don't have any tax problem. They just get to scoop the equity if there is any, of course. But to your point, and I'm the first to say my kids are going to sell and run, right? They're going to take whatever they can, and I think that is for sure going to be something. But that'll be a very, very interesting thing. But I think supply is what drives prices down, and I just don't see it right now.
And so I agree with you, and I do see it.
Yeah.
And so, just going out to these markets. But the other thing I want to mention on the equity piece, one other aspect is private credit. And what private credit did, and I've talked to some of these companies, is, hard money lenders are usually very regional, understand their markets, will ask for, 40% down payment, high interest. Well, private credit came in and basically said, well, we can use algorithms and we can lend. So there was let's take this company Notable that would give you like a $50,000 loan to spruce up your house that you pay once you sold that home. And so you have a ton of these types of lending schemes out there that, again, aren't necessarily reporting to credit. And so the equity picture, I don't think is as pristine as everybody thinks. And I mean, this is something I'm seeing looking at client books. This is also something I'm hearing, talking to people. And then these private credit folks, there was just an article, I think in the Wall Street Journal last week, just about the fact that these guys went out and basically made hard money loans, but thought that they could do a 90% LTV, thought they could take and not really be as strict as, say, your typical hard money lender. And so I think that we'll start to see this supply. We really saw it last year, but a lot of people delisted. But I think you're going to get even more supply, especially if rates get a little lower, because as there's activity, more people are going to start coming to the market. And right now, and this is the thing, down the street from me, there's a house I've been watching. They went on in August. They've reduced down to 50,000. They just pulled it off the market because, the realtor's telling them it's winter. You're not going to get a bite. So I think the spring is going to be very telling. And then as that FHA starts to get worse, as your Fannie Freddie starts to deteriorate, you're going to see more and more distressed properties come to market. So I think that the supply issue is going to be, it won't be an issue here very shortly in the near term, the next I don't think so this year, but definitely by next year.
Yeah.
So you're both very smart people. So I think people are going to, want to know what you guys are following. So Ken, what's one data point that you're watching this year and next year as far as the housing market is concerned?
Well, we started with it. It's affordability. And it's really easy to track what the mortgage payment is, plus uh, property tax, insurance, utilities. You're talking about well over $4,000 to live in a home at a $400,000 number, and rent. Rent's getting whacked right now. So those are the two things I watch as I invest. The one other thing I'll just is to mention is I really watch the difference between the home ownership rate and the rental side of the equation, because depending on policy, that can change dramatically. So if Trump really pushes this first time home buyer thing, let's say, whether he does or doesn't, we don't know, but if he does, those people are coming out of rentals. That's going to affect the rental market. Most of them, and so I think it's those are the two main things that we watch as we move forward. Obviously, the big we didn't really touch on this, but the big wild card where Melody could be spot on is this unemployment issue, and the wages. That is going to be, we're at 4.2, I think right now, 4.2%, which is the Fed's okay with. But if we get up over 5 and even into the 6%, we could see it could be a very different picture.
Yeah. So, and Ken, I think importantly, right, it's the youth unemployment is insane right now. 18 to 24, those people that we would hope would be forming households. I think I'm probably gonna get my numbers wrong, but I think that they're in double digits right now.